Good afternoon. We have a quorum. We're going to start today's meeting. Welcome to the July 9th regular meeting of the Community Development Commission of Chicago. I am Gwendolyn Hatton Butler, Chairwoman of the CDC. Today's meeting is being held at City Hall Council Chambers and is also being streamed by the Department of Planning and Development. The agenda for today's meeting was posted on July 3rd, both on the CDC website and physically at City Hall. I will now call to order the July 9th, 2024 meeting of the Community Development Commission with a call of the roll. Commissioners, when your name is called, please respond by saying present. Please note, this vote will be used to establish the roll call for subsequent items. Secretary Grace Chan McKibben. DPD Commissioner Sierra Boatwright. Commissioner Robert Buford. Commissioner Dwight Curtis. Commissioner Leslie Davis. Commissioner Jacqueline Gomez. Commissioner Cornelius Griggs. Commissioner Latasha Thomas. Present. Commissioner John Zayas. And Chair Gwendolyn Hatton Butler is present. Thank you, Commissioners. We have a quorum. At this time, we will begin the verbal public comment period of the meeting. Members of the public were able to submit written statements to the Commission via email. There were no written statements from the public received by the Department of Planning and Development prior to the established deadline of 24 hours prior to the scheduled start of the meeting. All written statements regarding items on today's agenda that were received before the deadline were distributed to commissioners. Written statements are also kept on file with the department and are available upon request. The verbal public comment period will be limited to 30 minutes out of respect for everyone's time. Speakers were able to sign up to speak prior to the meeting and will be called in the order they arrived. During this public comment period, each speaker is limited to 3 minutes to allow time for as many speakers as possible. We would ask that you keep your comments relevant to items on today's agenda. The first speaker that has signed up to speak today is Mr. George Blakemore. Welcome, Mr. Blakemore.
For Business and Community Development Commission, Ms. Sierra and the other distinguished people on this board. You all have a great task to try to educate the people, inform the people about what's going on. It's empty seats, and we have black faces over here in high places, but the seats are empty of men and women and citizens. So economic development, for whom and by whom? These LLCs and these developers, do they look like us? We have to connect the dots. And even if I go over my 3 minutes, you know that you can be a little tolerant here, because this is dealing with blood, sweat, and tears of Black people having equity in the city of Chicago, economic development. I just have attended other meetings, and they have tax incentives and all of this. Something is wrong, and I don't know how we're gonna get it right. The people are not here. So we have these Black ladies here, and it's just so much you can do. So I will give you a little advice and challenge you, each one of you, to go to your communities, your church, your sororities, or whatever, and get involved in government to help. Our people need help. Black people need help. All these Black faces in high places, but no economic development, tax incentive and all of that to the west side, the south side, or to the Black ghettos. There's something wrong here. And if I had the answer, I would do it. Empty seats. Empty seats. So again, uh, I just can't believe it. And the ladies were so kind and gracious to me because they too know it's a need for economic development in the Black neighborhood. These are Black ladies. Sierra, sometime I get up on and beat up on Mr. Cox and my Black elected officials, but we came a long ways, but we have a long ways to go. No economic development in our communities. We need unity. We need love. We have so many needs. And then you talk about high crime in the Black neighborhood. High crime because of no economic development. And this lady is very gracious to let me go over my time. This is not these other committees. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blakemore. Thank you, Mr. Blakemore. As you know, we always appreciate your comments. The second speaker is Zoe Lee.
I know a lot of y'all know why I'm here, and I do have a federal lawsuit that I'm still waiting. It's been 167 days until the judge has made a decision, and I know why, because again, every month I find some other illegal things that's happening in my case. My issue is Community Development Commission, right? So when my mother and my godfather was trying to rehab the Sandpiper Lounge, I was told they came to you, Latasha Thomas, when you was the alderman at the time. And when it came to asking for that TIF money to help get it together to grow the community, they were turned down. And they were always turned down. Everywhere they went, they were turned down. My mother had the contractors. My mother has a nonprofit, Notre Dame Affordable Housing. It's with Father Waski. He's a very well-known priest. She did everything, and it was for veterans. My second cousin, my third cousin, my mother's second cousin is Jesse Brown. It's named after the VA. Like, my mother did everything she was supposed to do to try to get some type of TIF money to help rehab that place, on top of putting her money on top. And instead, the building got unlawfully demolished. Okay. And now we're fighting for an illegal eminent domain case because the city of Chicago is so corrupt. So the way that they manipulate the Constitution, they make it like, well, it wasn't eminent domain because a pathway or roadway didn't go through, but the city knocked it down, and really has no reason why they knocked it down. The argument that the city has, the lawyer has, Bradley Wilson has, is that they were under the assumption that of the ownership issue, right? And then they went and got this deed that the deed's not even recorded with Cook County. So what I did was I went over to Cook County to go see about the deeds that were registered. And I have the deeds. I went and talked to Cedric Giles. That's the Cook County clerk for now until they figure out what they're gonna do because of Yarborough passing away. I spoke to him and his legal. So I have to be a police. I gotta be an investigator. I gotta be a lawyer because my mother was trying to help Auburn Grisham get what it needed. But because she didn't have a white developer or whatever, then she couldn't get the same opportunities that these white developers come in and get. That's why it's not full. We can't get nothing from the people we need to get stuff from. So that's why. So I'm gonna do whatever I can to make sure that this is investigated, because this is public corruption. And it's 2024 and nobody's not gonna continue to deal with this. Not me, not on my watch. Y'all take it there, I'm gonna take it to hell.
Thank you. The time allotted for the public comment period of today's meeting is now over. The first item on our agenda requests approval of the minutes from our previous meeting held on June 11, 2024. The commissioners have had an opportunity to review the minutes, and if there are no corrections, I move passage of this item by the same roll call vote previously used to establish quorum. I actually do have a correction on the minutes that were distributed. The title indicates that the meeting was on May 14th, 2024. But in fact, the title should, on the fourth line, Bailey, should indicate the meeting, the minutes are for June 11, 2024. Are there any other corrections or comments on the minutes? Bailey, did you note that change? Great. So hearing no additional corrections or objections, the motion is approved. I'd also like to note that Commissioner Jacqueline Gomez is in the meeting. Thank you, Commissioner Gomez. For our next item of business, we will hold an election to fill the vacancy of the vice chairman role formerly held by Chris Wheat. The bylaws of the CDC allow for the election of a vice chairman. The office of vice chairman has been vacant since our March 5th meeting following Chris Wheat's resignation. After discussing potential candidates with DPD Commissioner Boatright, it is my pleasure to put forward the nomination of Commissioner Latasha Thomas to become our new vice chair. Latasha has been a CDC commissioner for over 3 years, and she served in the role of acting chairman during my recusal at our last meeting. If there are no other nominations for vice chairman or objections, I move approval of the nomination of Latasha Thomas to the role of vice chairman of this commission. Are there any additional nominations or objections? Hearing no other nominations or objections, the motion is approved. Therefore, Commissioner Thomas has now been elected vice chairman of the Community Development Commission. Congratulations, and thank you, Latasha. Okay, we can now move on to new business. Commissioners, for the first item of new business on today's agenda, the Department of Planning and Development is seeking authority to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with Double Door Liquors 2.5 LLC for redevelopment of the property located at 1050 West Wilson Avenue in the Wilson Yard Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project area, and to recommend to the City Council of the City of Chicago the designation of Double Door Liquors 2.5 LLC as developer. William Grams will provide a brief description of this request on behalf of the Department of Planning and Development.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairwoman Butler and members of the commission. For the record, my name is William Grams with the Department of Planning and Development. With me today, I have Sean Maroney from the development team. The resolution before you requests a recommendation to the City Council to designate Double Door Liquors 2.5 LLC and its affiliates as the developer for the Double Door Theater project. It also requests authority for the Department of Planning and Development to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with the developer. The Double Door Theater project is located at 1050 West Wilson Avenue, which is in the 46th Ward represented by Alderwoman Angela Clay, the Uptown Community Area, the North Planning Region, and within the Wilson Yard TIF District. This TIF district was established in 2001 with one of the goals being to encourage the preservation and rehabilitation of retail and commercial businesses, institutional uses, and architecturally and/or historically significant buildings and districts. The Alderwoman is supportive of the project and has provided a letter of support. Here is an aerial view of the neighborhood. The project site is located on the north side of West Wilson Avenue between North Broadway and North Kenmore Avenue, and is just east of the Wilson CTA station. Here is a view showing the exterior condition of the building. And here is the interior condition of the building. Double Door Theater, known as the CBGB of Chicago, was an iconic live performance venue that began in 1994 in the Wicker Park neighborhood and hosted the best in local, regional, national, and international music for nearly 25 years. The venue featured prominently in numerous television shows and films, including the year 2000 feature film High Fidelity. Since closing in 2018, Double Door has been looking to reopen in a new location. The Wilson Theater was designed by Henry L. Oppenheimer and opened in 1909 as a 900-seat theater. In 1919, it was converted to a bank and functioned as such before closing in 2012. For more than a decade, this building at the corner of Wilson and Broadway, a key intersection in the Uptown Historic District, has been vacant. The property was acquired by the developer in February 2021 with the intent to restore the historic Wilson Theater into the new home of the Double Door Theater. The project has a total development budget of $10.35 million. The developer already has building permits and is ready to start construction with an anticipated completion in October 2025. In addition to the theater, the Double Door will also open a tuition-free after-school music program in partnership with Uplift High School, the People's Music School, and Black Ensemble Theater. Known as Double Door Rocks, the program's curriculum will include instruction in guitar, bass, drums, keyboards, and vocals, as well as sound engineering, stage lighting, electronic music and remixing, stage management, and production. The developer for this project is Double Door Liquors 2.5 LLC, an entity created by Sean Moroney to carry out this project. Sean is a musician and the owner and founder of the original Double Door Theater in Wicker Park. Sean created Double Door to fill a niche between small venues with capacity of around 100 and larger venues with capacity above 1,000. Double Door was committed to having the best sound, lights, and production of any club its size in the country, as well as dressing rooms for each performer. This continued approach will be the foundation for Double Door's new location in Uptown. The project will be financed through a mix of equity, an SBA loan, an Adopt a Landmark grant, and a TIF grant. The city, through DPD, intends to provide the developer with TIF assistance in an amount not to equal $5 million. The TIF funds will be provided from the Wilson Yard TIF District's area-wide increment. The TIF grant will be provided through a construction escrow after other funding sources are expended and will be dispersed at specified milestones. The developer must continuously operate the business in this location for a minimum of 5 years and satisfy the typical construction and compliance requirements for prevailing wage, MBWB, and city residency. Here's a conceptual rendering of the interior of the theater. And here's a rendering of the exterior of the building. DPD has thoroughly reviewed the proposed project, the qualifications of the development team, and the need for public assistance. DPD supports the project as it will reactivate the historic Wilson Theater building and serve to catalyze the ongoing redevelopment of the Uptown Entertainment District. Additionally, it will create an estimated 60 permanent jobs and 40 temporary construction jobs. Finally, the project will create Double Door Rocks, a tuition-free after-school music program in partnership with Uplift High School, the People's Music School, and Black Ensemble Theater. DPD recommends that the Community Development Commission approve the designation of Double Door Liquors 2.5 LLC and its affiliates as developer for the Double Door Theater project so that the project can advance to City Council. Thank you for your time, and I and the development team are available to answer questions.
Thank you, William. Is Alderperson Clay here or anyone from their office?
we do have a letter of support from her.
Okay, great. If the Alderwoman was present, I just wanted to give them an opportunity to make a statement on the project. Commissioners, do you have any questions for William or the developer regarding this request by the Department of Planning and Development? As a music lover, I actually have a question, and this may be for the developer. Is this standing room only? What's the concept from an entertainment perspective for music?
I'll let Sean answer that.
Very similar to the double
I'm
door.
sorry, could you just introduce yourself?
Yes,
for
I'm
folks?
very sorry. I'm Sean Mulroney. I'm the developer here, the owner of the property, and the one that started Double Door in Wicker Park in '94. For those of you that aren't familiar, Double Door in Wicker Park started as a small music venue, rose to national, international attention and success for the level of production and bands we had through there. We had the Rolling Stones, Smashing Pumpkins, we had Macy Gray, Common, Usher, Wu-Tang Clan, we had Plain White T's, we had Sonic Youth X. Pretty much, I always said you get everybody on the way up or the way down. So we were the host of many large bands, what we call downplays, where they would be in town for a bigger show, and they would do a show just for their super fans, either through ticket giveaways and so forth. We were able to do that. As part of our regular, programming, we worked with multiple diverse communities. We were the first people in the concert venue of ours to work in an LGBT event called Fabitat, which was a raging success for us. We did it every other week in our downstairs version and then periodically major upstairs shows. We had a Hispanic event that we did monthly called Cumbia Salsa, which is Latin hard rock, which is something many of you may not have seen, but you should. It's absolutely incredible. We did an event called Liquid Soul, was back in the earlier days where most of our Bulls players came every Sunday to see that. And we've had, so we've reached out to every community. We're also very active in Wicker Park and now looking forward to doing the same in Uptown. So this is a long way to answer your question. Double Door was a standing room only venue with the exception of when we added seating for quieter and smaller shows. This, because it's the redoing of the Wilson Theater, which was the largest theater built in the north side of Chicago until the Uptown opened in 1928, is that we will have a mezzanine level and 2 skyboxes that will have seating. We have an area set aside for, assisted seating that is a raised platform, which is not required, but will allow those people that either need assistance with some sort of physical disability will have a place to sit above on the main floor, but also in the balcony. So we're going to be a mix in terms of how we're going to accommodate each and every patron that comes to see a show there.
Great, thank you. We appreciate the overview. Are there any other questions or comments from the commission? If there are no further questions or comments regarding the matter before us, I will now call this item to a vote. The resolution before us, the Department of Planning and Development is seeking authority to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with Double Door Liquors 2.5 LLC for redevelopment of the property located at 1050 West Wilson Avenue in the Wilson Yard Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project Area, and to recommend to the City Council of the City of Chicago the designation of Double Door Liquors 2.5 LLC as developer. If there are no objections, I move passage of this item by the same roll call vote previously used to establish quorum. Hearing none, the motion is approved. Thank you.
I want to thank all of you for your faith in us, and I look forward to seeing you there, but not only for our shows, but to see our students when they're ready to give their performances.
Thank you. Some of us have very fond memories of the Double Door. Commissioners, for the next item of new business on today's agenda, the Department of Housing is seeking authority to sell property at 3613 through 3625 West Chicago Avenue in the Chicago Central Park Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project Area to the Avenue SW LLC or related entity, and to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with the Avenue SW LLC or related entity for the redevelopment of the property located at 3601 through 3625 West Chicago Avenue in the Chicago Central Park Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project Area, and to recommend to the City Council the designation of the Avenue SW LLC or related entity as developer. Vanetta Jones will provide a brief description of this request on behalf of the Department of Housing. And Ms. Jones, if you could just make sure that that these addresses are correct, because I have two different initial addresses in my notes. So it is 3601.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
through the
great.
sec-
So I want to make sure the court reporter corrects my misstatement at the beginning of the statement. Thank you. Please begin.
Yes, ma'am. So good afternoon, Chairwoman Butler and the members of the Community Development Commission. For the record, my name is Vanetta Jones, Financial Planning Analyst in the Department of Housing, Housing Development Finance Division. I am presenting to you today a request to support the Ave development located in the 27th Ward in the Humboldt Park community area. This project was selected by the Department of Planning and Development via RFP in 2021. Joining me today are members of the development team, Julie DeGraff of POA and Bill Williams of KMW Communities. Today, we are requesting support for the disposition of the vacant city-owned lot at 3613 through 3625 West Chicago Avenue, support of the allocation of 20 million in TIF funds, and the request to have the Ave Southwest LLC as the developer. The proposed development will be the new construction of two separate lots to develop a 4-story building. The development will be a mid-rise building containing 52 1 to 3 bedroom units with 29 parking spaces. Additionally, public benefits include a community space that will be the new home to neighborhood housing services, who will offer home ownership programs and education. This will create 280 temporary construction jobs along with 5 to 10 permanent jobs. This project aligns with the Chicago and Central Park TIF district goal by eliminating the blighting conditions that cause the area to qualify for TIF. And this project will be 100% affordable. The project held extensive community engagement meetings during RFP 2021, which included 2 virtual community visioning meetings and 5 in-person community evaluation RFP reviewers. They also held routine bi-monthly Invest Southwest virtual community roundtable updates during 2021 through 2023, and in-person WHPDC community held meeting 2/20/2024. Shown is the rendering for the 4-story building, 52-unit new construction and family-oriented development. This project will provide common area amenities that include free Wi-Fi in common areas, bike storage, a package room, laundry facility on each residential floor. On-site parking for residents will be in an enclosed garage with a loading area. Building security will be provided through controlled buzzer entry system and cameras at entrances. This project is being designed to enterprise green standards, which will satisfy the City of Chicago's sustainability requirements. Additionally, the building is all electric with a solar-ready roof, Energy Star appliances, and water-conserving plumbing fixtures. The development will be located at 3601 through 3625 West Chicago Avenue in the 27th Ward in the Chicago Central Park TIF District in the Humboldt Park community area. This area is a mixed area of residential homes and commercial area. This area has a lot of old, boarded up, and vacant buildings and is located in a low to moderate income neighborhood of Chicago that is in need of new investment. The addition to the new high-quality apartments will continue to set the tone for the ongoing development in the area. To the left is the existing layout, with the blue being the city-owned lot. In order to complete the proposed project to the right, they are going to have to cut off the current alley and make a new alleyway as such. They have already received approval for the alley vacation dedication for the alley. Shown is the current site plan for the project. This slide shows you the current views of the site. To the left is the 3601 through 3609 and the existing building for NHS, which will be demolished. To the right is 3611 through 3625 city-owned lot. It shows where there are was a vacated building on the lot, but has since been demolished and is now a vacant lot. The proposed units range from 1 to 3 bedrooms. The development will consist of 26 one-bedrooms, 23 two-bedrooms, and 3 three-bedrooms. The 3 one-bedroom units are said to be permanent supportive housing units as indicated by the asterisk. POA's Community Impacts Coordinator will provide connections to the supportive services. The project is led by a joint venture between POA Incorporated and KMW Communities Incorporated, which together they will form the AVSW LLC. Preservation of Affordable Housing, known as POA, is a national nonprofit organization. Since 2001, POA has more than 13,000 affordable rental apartments through transactions that guarantee that rents will remain affordable for the long term of 30 years. KMW Communities LLC, as KMW, is a BIPOC Illinois limited liability certified MBE company, founded by experienced real estate professionals with over 20 years of combined real estate development, finance, design, and construction management experience. KMW has participated in building or repositioning more than 1,500 mixed income and affordable homes in Chicago as a partner with City of Chicago's Department of Housing and the Chicago Housing Authority via the Neighborhood Stabilization and CHA's job ordering contracting programs. KMW also delivered dozens of market rate projects across the city of Chicago. The joint venture will be split between the two developers as a 65-35 split. Attorney bond counsel will be Applegate Thorne Thompson. The architect for this project is Gensler, which was founded in 1965. Gensler has built a team of 6,000 professionals who partner with clients in over 100 countries each year. Gensler is a global architect, design and planning firm with 55 locations. The property management is POA Property Management. POA Communities oversees the leasing and operations of our properties in 11 states and also the District of Columbia. They have not yet decided on the lender, syndicator, or GC at this time. Okay. In addition to the city-owned lot and $20 million in TIF funding, the development will be financed with equity from tax-exempt bonds of approximately $18.5 million in bonds. The Department of Planning and Development will provide up to $4.2 million in Chicago recovery funds and approximately $243,000 in deferred developer fees. Use of funds include $33.3 million in construction costs. The development will accrue $9 million in soft costs for a total development cost of $42.6 million. Based on the per unit cost, a lot of the costs are based on high interest rates for the soft costs, the decarbonization, and all electric. This project is also solar ready roofing for this project. So that will help to explain some of the very high costs that we have per unit. Listed is the estimated timeline. I plan to go to full finance council in September with passage in October, with estimated closing December of this year. This today concludes my presentation. I just wanted to state that DOH has thoroughly reviewed and supports the actions of this project and that we have received Alderman Walter Burnett Jr.'s approval. Specifically, DOH is seeking approval for the sale of one city-owned lot located at 3613 through 3625 West Chicago Avenue to enable the development of a 52-unit mixed-use building. The developer is requesting the write-down of the price of the one city-owned lot to $1 to enable the project to move forward. In addition to the city-owned lot, the development team seeks $20 million in financial support from the Chicago and Central Park TIF. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Great, thank you. May I just ask that the members of the public please lower their voices in terms of their comments in the back. It's a bit distracting. We can't hear the presentations. Thank you. I'd like to recognize Alderman Burnett and invite him to make a statement on the project if he's available. Okay, commissioners, do you have any questions for Vanetta Jones regarding this request? Oh, okay. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Vanetta regarding this request by the Department of Housing? Questions? Yes. Vice Chair Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Just a couple of questions. I'm gonna say two questions that I think you could answer at once. Who will own the property? Better yet, who is the city transferring the ownership to?
It will be transferred to the Ave Southwest LLC. So together, POA and KMW will combine their entity and form the Ave LLC.
So that's the JV,
Yes,
and ownership will be transferred to the JV.
yes.
Okay. Who will receive the TIF funds?
It will be the JV, yes.
Last question. Will there be any increment growth on the real estate taxes on these pins?
Good question. Yes. Yes. Do you want to speak on that?
I'm Julie DeGraff with Preservation of Affordable Housing, or POA. We would expect to pay some real estate taxes, and we do have those budgeted for in our operating budget.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Follow-up question, what's the budgeted level of the real estate taxes that the developer just mentioned?
I believe we have budgeted approximately $1,000 per unit per
I'm
year.
sorry, how much?
I believe we have $1,000 per unit per year, so 52,000 total.
Thank you. I have actually a follow-up question. The privately owned lots in the schematic that we saw, are those lots owned or controlled by the JV development team?
It is owned by NHS, which is under KMW. And so they are donating that land over to the project. And then together they will be in one of the commercial units that's in that building on the first floor.
And what is that entity again?
Neighborhood Housing Services, and that's where they teach home ownership programs.
Okay, other questions, members of the commission? Commissioner Curtis?
Thank you. So I'm just trying to understand, the amount of the TIF request is 40 million?
Can you pull up the
20.
capital stack
20 million?
page, please?
Okay. And as tax increment financing, obviously financed by the taxable increment, we're looking at a $52,000 a year tax increment to pay down that $20 million TIF.
All right.
It seems like it's going to take an awful long time to pay that down.
Yes.
My second question is, if I took the average, and
Excuse me, Commissioner Curtis, just as clarification, the resolution before us is to sell the property.
I'm sorry, I thought we were also
No,
approving
we're
the
not
TIF.
approving the TIF, at least according to my notes, we are not approving the TIF.
It's,
Thank
it's
you.
Is
gone
that-
through TIC. It has been approved through TIC. Yes.
It has been approved for the TIF.
Yes.
This is what the department is telling us now. So our resolution is to sell at below market rate and to approve the redevelopment, the entering into the redevelopment, to negotiate a redevelopment agreement. We are not here to approve approve any TIF financing.
Thank you. Just one more comment then, if you don't mind, is simply that it seems to me like the average cost for this low-income housing, and I don't have square foot, is about $800,000 per unit. It doesn't seem to me to be low income.
Understand.
Go ahead,
That's all.
Commissioner Boatright.
Yeah,
Can we
no.
have Commissioner Boatright?
Yeah, so that's one of the challenges with low-income housing development, and part of it is driven by the soft costs and the tax credits tied to the project in addition to the hard costs. And so you're absolutely right, it's one challenge that we often face with development, how to create more affordable units and how to do it affordably. But it is an ongoing challenge that our team talks about and developers talk about. It's not a Chicago-centric challenge, it's a national challenge, really addressing, balancing the soft costs and the additional hard costs tied to the affordable housing. But I think you're absolutely right. It is significantly higher than what you would typically see in market rate developments. I have a
Yes,
question.
yes, Commissioner
Um,
Boatright.
Can you talk a little bit about the timeline on the financing was great. If you could talk a little bit about the construction timeline to kind of share with the commissioners when we can expect those units to come online, construction start and projected construction completion, either you or the development team.
Yes, and I can start it off, but I'll go ahead and let the development team start. But it is due to start construction as soon as we close in December, estimated. But I will go ahead and let you go ahead and start.
Sure. Hi, this is Bill Williams with KMW Communities. So we close in December. We will start construction immediately, and we hope to deliver approximately 18 months thereafter. We should be completed with our selection with the general contractor next month. So we will start refining those plans and also try to find some more cost savings during that process, which we've already had a couple of alternatives lined up. Just in case we need to do some value engineering. So that's already being considered to lower costs. And so without any disruptions, we should be delivering the units, 2026.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a follow-up. So the city is requesting, the Department of Housing is requesting that we approve selling the land for $1. The appraised fair market value is $240,000. Is that correct?
Right.
What is the appraised value of the land that's being, the privately owned land?
The privately owned land was estimated at,
I believe around,
Can you please introduce yourself and speak into the mic? Thank you.
Bill Williams again with KMW. The private owned land that NHS has donated, it's approximately about the same as the city owned land, even though it's slightly improved with a formerly abandoned gas station, which they're using it as an office, I believe. So it's not, yeah, although there's a structure to value, there's not much of a difference between the values.
Was the privately owned land appraised as a part of the review process?
if I'm not mistaken, I want to say that it was appraised at approximately, was it? And there is two different lots, so I might be mistaking them, but I want to say it was like at was it 1.2?
I can't recall.
Can I get back to the chair with that?
Yeah, Julie DeGraff for POA again. I don't believe we were required to have a appraisal of that property, but it does operate, as Bill said, as the current West Side hub for neighborhood housing services. But they are contributing that at no cost to the project. They will have space in the new building and they'll continue to offer the services that they have offered there for years, which is homeownership education, financial literacy and counseling, block club services. They run a community garden and farmers market. So they'll be able to expand those services as a result of coming into the new building.
So is there an existing building on the privately owned land?
Yes.
Yes.
And it will be said to be demolished.
Okay, but that land and building have not been appraised as a part of this transaction?
No, it's not a requirement, only the city-owned land is.
Okay, thank you. Are there any further questions or comments? If there are no further questions or comments regarding the matter before us, I will call this item to a vote. The resolution before us, the Department of Housing is seeking authority to sell property at 3613 through 3625 West Chicago Avenue in the Chicago Central Park Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project Area to the Avenue SW LLC or a related entity, and to negotiate a redevelopment agreement with the Avenue SW LLC or a related entity for the redevelopment of the property located at 3601 through 3625 West Chicago Avenue in the Chicago Central Park Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project Area, and to recommend to the City Council of Chicago the designation of the Avenue SW LLC or a related entity as developer. If there are no objections, I move passage of this item by the same roll call vote previously used to establish quorum. Are there any objections or abstentions from members of the commission? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Commissioners, for the last item of new business on today's agenda, the Department of Planning and Development is seeking authority to enter into a land sale with the Chicago Park District for the disposition of the property located at 714 through 726 North Kedzie Avenue in the Chicago Central Park Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project Area, and to approve the sale of the property to the Chicago Park District. Meg Gustafson will provide a brief description of this request on behalf of the Department of Planning and Development. Thank you, Meg.
Thank you. For the record, Meg Gustafson, Department of Planning and Development. This is a request to transfer 3 parcels to the Chicago Park District to expand Kells Park. This is in the 27th Ward, and we have enthusiastic support from Alderman Burnett. It is located, the 3 pins are located at 714, 724, and 726 North Kedzie Avenue. This will expand Kells Park by 0.54 acres. And it's in the Chicago Central Park TIF. We're proposing selling each of the 3 parcels for $1 to the Chicago Park District. Here are the PIN numbers and the square footages. We will also be changing the zoning to POS 1. And further down the line, TIF funds will be used to clean up the environmental condition of the parcels. There was also an alley that we vacated between, hold on, let me skip through here. Here's the TIF map. Here's an aerial. The zoning map, you see Kells Park as POS 1. The expansion area is in blue, these 3 parcels. We vacated the alley between these 2 geographies 2 years ago, and that's already in the Park District's inventory. In conclusion, we would like your support to transfer these 3 lots to the Chicago Park District for $1 each. Thank you. I'll answer any questions.
Thank you, Meg. I don't believe Alderman Burnett is here, but you did indicate that he is supporting this enthusiastically. Do we have a letter of support on record
I
from
do,
him?
yes.
Great, thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Meg regarding this request by the Department of Planning and Development? Yes.
Is there an interest to turn that firehouse into a field house? Is that part of it, or are they gonna tear it down?
Unfortunately, the field house will have to be demolished, and we're building a new field house with TIF funds. So that will be the next phase. It's currently in community development, and Chicago Park District is working on that plan and exactly what size of field house and what amenities it will have. But for many years, we looked into trying to save the firehouse, and it just wasn't big enough to accommodate what the community wants in a field house.
Any additional questions, Commissioner? If there are no further questions or comments regarding the matter before us, I will call this item to a vote. The resolution before us, the Department of Planning and Development is seeking authority to enter into a land sale with the Chicago Park District for the disposition of the property located at 714 through 726 North Kedzie Avenue in the Chicago Central Park Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project area, and to approve the sale of the property to the Chicago Park District. If there are no objections, I move passage of this item by the same roll call vote previously used to establish quorum. Are there any objections or abstentions? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Commissioners, that was our last item on today's agenda. If there are no further questions or comments, I move to adjourn the July 9th, 2024 meeting of the Community Development Commission by the same roll call vote previously used to establish quorum. Hearing none, we are adjourned.